Welcome. You've entered a place where silence speaks, where ancient stone remembers your breath, and the wind still whispers through the ruins of kings. Tonight, a story will unfold, gently, slowly, and you are invited to drift within it. Let the journey begin in stillness and light. This is Whispers in the Emperor's Soil. Chapter 1. Breath in the Dust of Kings. You wake before the sun. The air is cool against your skin, and you rise slowly from your simple mat, placed beside the ancient wall of weathered stone. Your feet touch the earth, still holding the memory of night's coolness, and you breathe deeply, letting the morning air fill your lungs with the scent of dust and time. You are alone here, among these ruins, these columns that once held up the sky, for kings whose names echo in the wind. The silence is complete, and you welcome it. You step forward, barefoot, feeling each grain of sand, each fragment of marble beneath your feet. The ground speaks to you in whispers, telling stories of ceremonies, of processions, of Persian nobles who once walked these same paths, their silk robes rustling, their gold jewelry catching the light. But now, there is only you, and the stones, and the growing light of dawn. You move between the columns, these massive pillars, carved from limestone, each one reaching toward the heavens, like prayers made solid. Each column bears the weight of centuries, and you feel that weight settling into your bones, into your breath. The columns of Persepolis, these witnesses to empire, rise around you like a forest of stone, each one carved with such precision, such care, that even now, after 2,500 years, you can trace the lines with your finger and feel the devotion of the craftsmen who shaped them. You pause and place your palm against the cool stone, feeling its texture, its permanence. The limestone is gray, with veins of darker stone running through it, like rivers, like the paths of old memories. The morning light begins to touch the tops of the columns, painting them gold, then amber, then the color of honey. You watch this transformation, this daily, slowly, deliberately, letting each breath carry you deeper into this moment, into this place where time moves differently. You walk forward toward the grand staircase, the Apadana staircase, where once Persian kings received tribute from across their vast empire. The steps are wide, built for processions, for ceremony, for the slow, measured pace of ritual. You climb them, one by one, feeling the smooth stone beneath your feet, worn by countless other feet over countless years. Each step is a meditation, each breath a prayer. The reliefs on the walls beside the staircase come alive in the growing light. Carved figures, Persian nobles, Median guards, tributaries from distant lands, all frozen in stone, all waiting in eternal procession toward a throne that no longer exists. You stop and study one figure, a Persian nobleman, his beard carefully carved, his robes flowing in stone. A moment of connection, a thread binding you to this ancient soul. The wind stirs, gently, moving through the ruins, and you close your eyes, listening. The wind carries voices, not audible, but felt, like whispers in a language you almost remember. You continue up the staircase, your hand trailing along the stone balustrade, feeling its smoothness, its coolness. The carved rosettes and lotus blossoms, symbols of life and renewal, pass beneath your fingers like a prayer wheel, turning slowly through time. At the top of the staircase, you emerge onto the great platform, the heart of Persepolis. Here, Darius the Great once held court. Here, Xerxes planned his campaigns. Here, the wealth of the known world was displayed and celebrated. But now, there is only vastness and silence and the gentle warmth of the rising sun on your face. You walk toward the remains of the Apadana Palace, the great audience hall, where once 100 columns supported a cedar roof. Now, only 13 columns remain standing, like sentinels keeping watch over the dreams of empire. The columns that remain rise 65 feet into the air, each one crowned with carved capitals, showing bulls and lions and mythical creatures that once supported the massive wooden beams of the palace roof. You approach one column and look up. At its capital, the carved bulls face outward in 4 directions, their eyes alert, their muscles tense with life, even in stone. They seem ready to breathe, to move, to carry the weight of the sky on their shoulders. You place your hand on the column and feel the vibration of ages. The stone is warm now, touched by the sun, and you imagine the great hall as it once was, filled with light and shadow, and the soft murmur of courtiers speaking in Old Persian. Close your eyes and breathe, letting the image form in your mind. The hall filled with Persian carpets, woven with gold thread. The walls hung with silk tapestries, showing scenes of hunting and victory. The air scented with frankincense and myrrh and the smoke of sacred fires. But when you open your eyes, there is only the ruins and the growing warmth of day, and the infinite blue of the Persian sky, stretching, unbroken, from horizon to horizon. You walk among the column bases, these massive stone platforms, where once the great columns stood. Each base is carved with detailed reliefs, showing Persian soldiers, their spears raised, their shields decorated with the winged sun, the Faravahar, symbol of Ahura Mazda, the wise lord of light. You kneel beside one relief and trace the carved figure with your finger. A Persian immortal, one of the 10,000 elite guards who protected the king. His face is serene, confident, eternal. His spear points toward a sky that has remained unchanged for 2 millennia. The carving is so detailed, so precise, that you can see the texture of his clothing, the pattern of his armor, the individual strands of his carefully braided beard, carved with cuneiform inscriptions, lie among the weeds. Each fragment, a page from a book, written in stone, telling stories of conquest and ceremony, and the dreams of kings. The sun climbs higher, and the shadows begin to shift. moving slowly across the ruins, like the hands of a vast clock. Marking time, you rise and walk toward the treasury, where once the wealth of the Persian Empire was stored. Gold and silver and precious stones from India and Scythia and the far reaches of the known world. The treasury walls still stand partially, creating rooms and corridors where shadows gather and coolness lingers, even as the day grows worn. You enter one of these rooms and feel the temperature drop. The stone walls, thick and solid, provide shelter from the heat and from time itself. In this room, you can imagine Persian scribes working by lamplight, recording the tribute that flowed into Persepolis from across the empire. Their reed pens scratching against clay tablets, their voices soft, concentrated, as they calculated the wealth of nations. You sit, cross-legged, on the stone floor and let your eyes adjust to the dimmer light. The walls around you bear traces of ancient plaster, and you can see with gold and blue and crimson now faded to whispers on stone. You breathe slowly, deeply, and feel your heartbeat slow to match the rhythm of the ancient stones. Your pulse becomes part of the great heartbeat of Persepolis, the rhythm that has continued unbroken since Darius first dreamed of this place. Through the doorway, you can see the distant mountains, the Zagros Range, rising like a wall against the eastern sky. These mountains watched over the Persian Empire as it rose and flourished and fell. They remain unchanged, eternal, like the stones beneath your feet. You close your eyes and listen to the silence. It is not empty, this silence. It is full of whispers, of memories, of the breath of ancient kings still moving through these ruins, like wind through empty halls. The wind picks up, gently, stirring the dust around your feet, and you open your eyes to watch small particles of earth dance in the air, each particle part of this place, part of its history, part of the great cycle of building and decay and renewal that governs all things. You stand and walk back into the sunlight. The warmth touches your face, your arms, your bare feet, and you feel connected to the sun that warmed Persian kings and Persian stones 25 centuries ago. The light is different here. In this place, it seems older, wiser, filtered through the memory of empire and the dreams of the dead. It falls on the ruins with a golden quality that makes every stone, every shadow seem precious, sacred. You walk toward the eastern edge of the platform where the palace of Darius once stood. Here, the great king lived and ruled in rooms decorated with the finest art the empire could produce. Here, he planned the great royal road that connected his empire from Sardis to Susa, making communication and trade flow like rivers across the ancient world. The foundation stones of Darius's palace still mark the ground, outlining rooms and corridors that once rang with the sounds of imperial life. You walk among these foundations, your feet finding the ancient pathways, as if guided by the footsteps of the past. In what was once the throne room, you pause and try to imagine Darius seated on his golden throne, receiving ambassadors from distant lands, his dark eyes wise and calculating, his beard perfumed with oils from Arabia, his robes woven with threads of gold and silver. But the throne is gone, melted down by conquerors and time. Only the stone remains, and the wind, and the memories that live in stone like echoes in an empty hall. You kneel and place your palms flat against the foundation stone, feeling its warmth, its solidity, its patient endurance. Through your hands, you feel the vibration of history, the pulse of ancient life still moving through these ruins like blood, through veins of stone. The stone speaks to you. 9 words, but in sensations, in the slow, deep rhythm of geological time. It tells you of the quarrymen who cut it from the living rock, of the oxen who dragged it across the plain, of the masons who set it with such precision that even now, after millennia, it remains perfectly level, perfectly placed. You breathe with the stone, matching your rhythm to its ancient patience, and feel your own small life becoming part of something larger, something that transcends the boundaries of individual existence. The sun continues its climb, and the shadows continue their dance across the ruins. You watch as light and shadow play among the stones, creating patterns that shift and change and disappear, only to be born again in slightly different forms. This play of light has continued every day for 2,500 years. The same sun that lit the ceremonies of Persian kings now illuminates. You're connecting you across the centuries to every soul who has ever stood in this place and felt the weight of time. You walk to a fallen column, its massive bulk now horizontal rather than vertical, its carved capital now at ground level, where you can study its intricate details up close. The capital is carved in the shape of a double bull, the 2 creatures back to back, their heads turned outward, their eyes alert and gentle. Their bodies are muscled, powerful, but their expressions are serene, peaceful, as if they carry their great burden with joy. You sit beside the fallen capital and run your hand along the carved stone, feeling the texture of the bull's hide, rendered in limestone. The ancient sculptors understood anatomy so well that even in stone, the creature seemed to breathe, to live. Between the bulls, carved lotus blossoms spread their petals in stone. The lotus, symbol of purity and rebirth, blooms eternal in where real flowers have long since turned to dust. You lean back against the fallen column and feel its massive weight supporting you as it once supported the roof of empire. The stone is warm from the sun and smooth from the touch of countless hands across the centuries. Closing your eyes, you let the warmth seep into your back, into your bones, and feel yourself becoming part of this ancient place. Your breathing slows, deepens, and matches the slow rhythm of stone and time. The wind moves through the ruins, stirring your robes, cooling your skin, and carrying with it the scent of wild herbs that grow among the stones, thyme and mint and sage, their fragrance mixing with the smell of dust and ancient mortar, and the faint metallic scent of iron in the stone. You open your eyes and see a small lizard sunning itself on a nearby stone. Its scales catch the light like tiny mirrors, and its eyes, ancient and wise, watch you. In this place, all creatures are equal. All are temporary. All are part of the great wheel of time. The lizard flicks its tongue, tasting the air, then settles more comfortably on its sun-warmed stone. You smile at this small life, making its home among the ruins of empire, finding warmth and shelter in what remains when power and glory have passed away. You rise slowly, respectfully, and continue your wandering among the stones. Each step is a meditation, each breath a prayer offered to the ancient spirits that dwell in this place, not as ghosts, but as essence, as the accumulated wisdom of all who lived and loved and dreamed within these walls. Near the center of the great platform, you find a piece of carved stone, half buried in the earth. You kneel and brush away the dust and debris, revealing a fragment of cuneiform inscription. The wedge-shaped marks, carved deep into the limestone, spell out words in Old Persian, words that once proclaimed the glory of kings and the favor of Ahura Mazda. You cannot read the ancient script, but you can feel its power, its authority, its connection to the sacred. These marks were made by human hands, guided by human minds that believed in permanence, in the eternal nature of their achievements. Yet here, the inscription lies, broken, half buried, speaking now not of triumph, but of humility, of the truth that all things pass, that stone endures longer than flesh, but not forever, not beyond the great cycles of creation and destruction that govern all existence. You trace one cuneiform character with your finger, feeling the sharp edges where the scribe's stylus pressed into clay that was then copied into stone by patient craftsmen who believed they were carving for eternity. The character under your finger means king, and you feel a moment of connection to the scribe who first formed it in wet clay in some palace scriptorium 2.5 millennia ago. His hand, guided by the same human impulse that guides yours, the need to leave a mark, to say, I was here, to speak across the void of time. You sit back and look around at the vast ruins spread across the platform. All of this, built by human hands, carved by human minds, dreamed by human hearts that beat with the same rhythm as your own heart beats now in the silence of the Persian dawn. The sun has climbed higher and the heat begins to build, reflecting off the limestone and rising in shimmering waves that make the distant mountains dance like mirages. You can feel the approach of the hot Persian day, and you are grateful for the coolness that still lingers in the shadows between the stones. You walk. From this vantage point, you can see the full scope of the ruins stretching across the great platform like a stone city frozen in time. The remaining columns stand like exclamation points against the sky, while the fallen stones lie scattered like words in a sentence that time has scrambled, but not erased. You lean against the wall behind you and feel its solidity, its permanence. This wall has stood here to Persian kings and Macedonian conquerors, through Parthian princes and Sassanid shahs, through Arab caliphs and Mongol khans, through Ottoman sultans and modern nations. It has seen empires rise and fall like waves against an eternal shore. And now it supports you as you rest in its shadow, connecting you to all the others who have leaned against this same wall, seeking shelter from the sun, or from the weight of their own thoughts, or from the overwhelming presence of so much history concentrated in stone. You close your eyes and let your body relax completely, feeling the support of the ancient wall against your back and the cool earth beneath you. Your breathing becomes deeper, more regular, and your heartbeat slows to match the timeless rhythm of the stones. In this state, between waking and sleeping, you begin to sense the presence of those who came before, not as distinct individuals, but as a collective consciousness, a shared human experience that permeates these ruins like incense, lingering long after the ceremony has ended. You feel Persian craftsmen, their hands skilled and patient, shaping stone with love and devotion. You feel Persian nobles walking these halls, their silk robes rustling softly, their voices cultured, refined, speaking of art and philosophy and the mysteries of existence. You feel Persian kings burdened with the weight of empire, yet lifted by the beauty they created, their minds turning always toward the eternal, toward the divine, toward the light that lies beyond the shadows of earthly power. And you feel Persian mystics, like yourself, drawn to these ruins, not by curiosity or scholarship, but by the deeper pull of the soul, seeking connection with something greater than individual existence, seeking to understand the great mystery that connects all life, all time, all being. The wind stirs gently, moving through the ruins, and you feel it on your face like the breath of these ancient souls, still present, still aware, still part of the great conversation between human consciousness and divine mystery that has continued unbroken since the first human looked up at the stars and wondered. You open your eyes slowly and see that the light has changed, becoming more golden, more warm as the sun approaches its zenith. The shadows have shifted, creating new patterns, new sanctuaries, new places for meditation and rest. You rise, feeling refreshed, renewed, and walk toward another area of the ruins, where broken stones lie scattered, like pieces of a vast puzzle that time has taken apart. Each piece bears traces of the original design, carved details that hint at the greater whole, of which they were once a part. You kneel beside one large fragment and study its carved surface. Here, you can see the edge of a Persian robe carved in stone, the folds rendered with such skill that they seem to move in an eternal wind. There, the fragment of a hand holding what might have been a lotus blossom, or perhaps a sacred fire, symbol of the light. Each fragment tells part of a story that you can only guess at. But the cumulative effect of all these scattered pieces is overwhelming. It speaks of a civilization that valued beauty and permanence, that sought to capture in stone the fleeting moments of human glory and divine grace. You pick up a small piece of carved stone and hold it in your palm, feeling its weight, its texture, its age. This fragment was shaped by human hands, with human tools, guided by human vision, over 2,000 years ago, and now it rests in your hand, connecting you directly, physically, to that ancient craftsman whose name is lost to time, but whose work lives on. You set the fragment gently back where you found it, and continue your wandering among the ruins. Each stone, each carving, each trace of ancient life adds to your understanding, not of history, but of the eternal human condition, the drive to create, to build, to leave something beautiful behind. The sun reaches its zenith, and the heat becomes intense, reflecting off the pale limestone and creating shimmering waves of heated air that distort your vision and make the ruins seem to dance like a mirage in the desert. You seek shade under the remaining wall of what was once a storage room. Here, the temperature is more bearable, and you can rest and observe the play of light and shadow across the stones without being overwhelmed by the heat. From your shaded position, you watch as the intense sunlight transforms the ruins. The pale limestone becomes almost white, brilliant, painful to look at directly, while the shadows become deeper, darker, more mysterious. The contrast between light and dark becomes more pronounced, more dramatic, more beautiful. This interplay of light and shadow has been going on every day for millennia. The same sun that now creates these patterns of beauty once illuminated the golden throne of Darius, the silk tapestries of Xerxes, the sacred fires that burned continuously in honor of Ahura Mazda. You close your eyes and try to imagine Persepolis at its height in the spring, when delegations from across the empire would arrive for the celebration of Nowruz, the Persian New Year. A great platform filled with people dressed in their finest clothes, speaking dozens of languages, carrying gifts and tribute from the far corners of the known world. The Apadana Palace, its 100 columns, supporting a massive roof of cedar beams brought from Lebanon. The walls decorated with glazed bricks, showing winged bulls and lotus flowers, and the sacred Faravahar, symbol of divine protection and eternal wisdom. The air filled with music, Persian flutes and drums, and a soft chiming of bells, woven into the robes of dancing girls. The scent of roasting meat and baking bread and sweet pastries made with honey and rosewater and precious spices brought from India and beyond. But when you open your eyes, there is only the silence and the heat and the ancient stones bearing witness to dreams that have passed like clouds across the sky, leaving only their shadows carved in stone. You drink from your water gourd, the liquid warm but refreshing, and you think about the Persian concept of paradise, paradisa, the walled garden where water flows and trees provide shade, and all living things exist in harmony. This was their vision of perfection, not power or wealth, but a place where life could flourish in peace. And in a way, these ruins have become a kind of paradise, a place where time moves slowly, where silence reigns, where the spirits of the past and the dreams of the future can meet in the eternal present of meditation and contemplation. You rise and walk slowly toward the eastern edge of the platform, where stairs lead down to the plain below. Here, you can see for miles across the Persian landscape, rolling hills covered with sparse vegetation stretch to the horizon, where the Zagros Mountains rise like a wall between Persia and the rest of the world. This landscape has changed little since Persian times. The same hills, the same mountains, the same sky that Darius and Xerxes and Artaxerxes looked upon from this same spot. The land endures while empires rise and fall like seasons. You sit on the edge of the platform, your legs dangling over the side, and feel the vastness of space and time spreading out before you. Behind you, the ruins speak of human ambition and achievement. Before you, the landscape speaks of something even older, even more enduring, the earth itself, patient, eternal, indifferent to the rise and fall of civilizations. A hawk circles overhead, riding the thermals that rise from the heated stone. Its cry pierces the silence, sharp, wild, free. It knows nothing of Persian kings or Macedonian conquerors, or the dreams and sorrows of humanity. It lives in the eternal present, following its nature with perfect simplicity. You watch the hawk's graceful flight and feel a moment of envy for its freedom, its lack of concern for the weight of history that presses down on human consciousness like the massive stones of a collapsed temple, to something larger than individual existence, to the great story of human becoming that continues to unfold across the centuries. The hawk disappears beyond the mountains, and you are alone again, with the stones and the silence and the growing heat of the Persian afternoon, of late afternoon. You find a comfortable spot beside a fallen column where the shadow provides relief from the heat, and settle, cross-legged, for meditation. The stone beneath you is warm, but not uncomfortable, and you can feel its ancient strength supporting you as you prepare to go deeper into the silence that you close your eyes and let your breathing become slow and regular. Each breath connects you more deeply to the rhythms of the earth, to the patient endurance of stone, to the eternal cycles of light and shadow that govern all existence. In this deep quiet, you begin to sense the presence of something beyond words, beyond thoughts, beyond individual consciousness, a presence that permeates these ruins, not as memory, but as living essence, the accumulated wisdom of all who have sought in this place to touch the eternal mystery that lies at the heart of existence. Your breathing becomes so slow, so deep, that it seems to merge with the breathing of the earth itself. Your heartbeat slows to match the great pulse of geological time, and your consciousness expands beyond the boundaries of individual identity to touch something vast and timeless. In this state, the ruins around you seem to pulse with gentle life, not the life of flesh and blood, but the deeper life that animates all creation, the life that flows through stone and star and human heart, connecting all things in one great web of being. You feel Persian mystics from centuries past sitting in meditation beside you, their presence not intrusive but supportive, like the presence of old friends who understand without need for words the path you are walking, a truth you are seeking. Time becomes meaningless in this deep quiet. Minutes or hours might pass without your awareness. You exist in the eternal now, where past and future collapse into the single point of pure being, pure awareness, pure peace. Gradually, toward the western horizon, painting the ruins in shades of amber and gold and deep rose. You open your eyes, slowly, gently, and see that the shadows have indeed lengthened, creating new patterns, new sanctuaries, new opportunities for contemplation. The light has become more gentle, more forgiving, more beautiful. You rise, feeling refreshed, renewed, centered, and walk toward the western edge of the platform, where you can watch the sun begin its slow descent toward the horizon. This is your favorite time in the ruins, when the heat begins to subside and the light becomes magical, transforming every stone, every shadow into something sacred. As you walk, you notice small details that you missed in the harsher light of midday. A carved flower on a broken capital, a fragment of ancient plaster still clinging to a wall, a small hole in a stone where perhaps a metal fitting once held. Each detail adds to your appreciation of the skill and devotion of the ancient builders. They carved and decorated even the smallest elements with love and care, believing that every detail mattered, that beauty in all its forms was a reflection of divine truth. You reach the western edge of the platform and find a comfortable stone to sit on, facing the direction where the sun will soon begin to paint the sky in colors that have remained unchanged since Persian kings watched this same sunset from this same spot. The western mountains rise before you, their peaks already touched with the first hint of the golden light that will soon flood the entire landscape. Behind them, the sun prepares for its daily death and rebirth, the eternal cycle that governs all life, all time, all existence. You settle comfortably on your stone seat and prepare to witness one of nature's most beautiful and most sacred ceremonies, the transformation of day into evening, of light into shadow, of activity into rest, of consciousness into the deeper wisdom that comes with darkness and silence and dreams. Your hands rest gently in your lap. Your breathing is slow and peaceful. Your heart beats with the quiet rhythm of contentment. You are exactly where you need to be, in this moment, in this place, watching and waiting and preparing to receive whatever gift the approaching evening might bring. The wind stirs gently among the ruins, cooling your skin and rustling the few hardy plants that have made their home among the ancient stones. It brings the scent of wild herbs and distant water and the faint metallic smell of stone heated by the sun. And in this gentle wind, you can almost hear the whispers of ancient voices, Persian princes and Persian mystics, Persian craftsmen and Persian kings, all united now in the democracy of dust, but their spirits still present, still aware, still part of the great conversation between earth and sky, between human consciousness and divine mystery. Your eyes begin to feel heavy as the peace of this sacred place settles into your bones, into your blood, into the very core of your being. The ancient stones seem to pulse with gentle warmth, and the shadows grow longer and softer, creating a perfect cocoon of tranquility. Your breathing becomes deeper, more rhythmic, matching the eternal rhythms of this timeless place. Your thoughts slow and scatter like leaves in a gentle breeze, leaving only pure awareness, pure peace, pure connection to the sacred ground beneath you. The ruins around you seem to breathe with their own slow rhythm, the rhythm of centuries rather than seconds. You feel yourself becoming part of this ancient breathing, this patient endurance, this eternal waiting for the next moment of beauty or truth or grace. Your hands rest gently against the warm stone, feeling its texture, its permanence, its connection to the earth from which it was born and to which it will eventually return. You are part of this great cycle, this eternal dance of creation and dissolution and renewal. The light continues to change, becoming warmer, more golden, as the sun approaches the western mountains. Soon, the real magic will begin, the transformation of ordinary daylight into the sacred fire of sunset, when every stone, every shadow becomes a prayer offered. Your eyelids grow heavier, and you allow them to close, trusting in the ancient protection of these sacred stones, feeling the accumulated blessings of all who have meditated here across the centuries, wrapping around you like a gentle, invisible embrace. In this state, between waking and sleeping, you feel completely safe, completely at peace, completely connected to something infinitely larger and wiser and more enduring than your individual existence. You rest in this connection like a child resting in its mother's arms. The wind quiets to barely a whisper. The distant sounds of the world fade away until there is only the deep silence of sacred space and the gentle rhythm of your own breathing, growing slower and deeper with each passing moment. Your body relaxes completely, supported by the ancient stone, warmed by the ancient sun, blessed by the ancient peace that dwells at the heart of this sacred place. And as the sun touches the peaks of the western mountains, painting them in shades of gold and amber and deep rose, you feel yourself sinking deeper into the profound tranquility that has gathered in these ruins, like morning mist in a hidden valley. The light begins its magical transformation, and you watch through half-closed eyes as every stone, every carved detail, every scattered fragment begins to glow with inner fire, as if the spirit of the ancient Persian Empire were awakening one more time to witness the beauty of another sunset. Your breathing becomes so slow, so gentle, that it seems to merge with the breathing of the ruins themselves, with the patient exhalation of stone, warmed by centuries of Persian sun. Your heart beats with the same rhythm that has echoed through these halls since Darius first dreamed of building a palace worthy of the gods. The carved reliefs around you seem to come alive in the golden light. Persian nobles, their stone robes flowing in eternal procession, their faces serene with the knowledge that they have become part of something timeless, immortal, beyond the reach of conquest or decay. You feel your own small life becoming part of this greater story, this eternal narrative written in stone and light and shadow, and the patient endurance of all who seek to touch the sacred in the midst of the temporal, the eternal, in the heart of the passing moment. The sun sinks lower, and the light deepens from gold to amber to the deep rose of Persian carpets woven with threads of sunset and dream. The entire plateau seems to float in this colored light, like an island in a sea of golden air. Your consciousness expands stone and silence that has been quietly waiting for you to arrive and recognize and receive its gift. In this expanded awareness, you sense the presence of Ahura Mazda, the wise lord of the ancient Persians, not as a distant deity, but as the intelligent principle that organizes all beauty, all truth, all peace into patterns of meaning and grace. The Faravahar, the winged symbol carved on so many of these ancient stones, seems to hover, invisible but present, above the ruins, its wings spreading protection over all who come here with sincere hearts, seeking connection with the sacred mystery of existence. You feel blessed by this presence, embraced by this ancient wisdom that understands the longing of the human heart for something beyond the temporary, something that endures when all else passes away, like shadows at sunset. The light continues to deepen and change, painting the limestone in shades that seem to come from another world, a world where beauty is the fundamental organizing principle, where every shadow, every reflected gleam serves the greater purpose of revealing the sacred within the ordinary. Your body feels weightless, supported not just by the stone beneath you, but by the accumulated prayers of all who have sat in meditation in this place across the centuries, Persian mystics and Zoroastrian priests, and countless others who have sought in silence and solitude the face of the divine. The wind stirs again, very gently, carrying with it the scent of ancient roses that once bloomed in the palace gardens. Though no roses grow here now, the memory of their fragrance seems to linger in the stones like incense in an empty temple. You breathe this phantom fragrance and feel your heart open like a flower to receive the full blessing of this moment, this place, this perfect convergence of light and shadow and ancient peace that transforms ordinary stone into a cathedral of the spirit. The sun touches the horizon, and for a moment, the entire world seems to pause in reverence. The birds stop singing, the wind holds its breath, even the stones seem to lean forward in anticipation of the sacred moment. When day surrenders to night, and in this moment of perfect stillness, you feel the presence of every soul who has ever watched this sunset from this place. Persian kings and Persian peasants, conquerors and conquered, all united in this shared experience of beauty and transcendence, and the eternal return of light to light. Your eyes close naturally, drawn by the deep peace that settles over the ruins like a blessing. You feel completely by the ancient stones and the accumulated wisdom of all who have found sanctuary in this place of power and peace. The last light of day filters through your closed eyelids, painting the inside of your consciousness in shades of gold and rose and deep amber. You float in this colored darkness, supported by the patient earth and the loving sky, and the eternal presence that dwells in the heart of all sacred places. Your breathing becomes so subtle, so gentle, that it barely disturbs the profound stillness that has gathered around you, like a protective cloak woven from silence and starlight and the dreams of ancient kings who built for eternity, but found instead this deeper truth that peace, not power, is the ultimate achievement. And as the first stars begin to appear in the darkening sky above the ruins of Persepolis, you sink into the deep, restful sleep that comes to those who have found their place in the great pattern of existence, where every breath is a prayer and every heartbeat a note in the eternal song that creation sings to itself across the vast and patient spaces of time. Your hands rest gently against the warm stone. The wind quiets to barely a whisper, and you drift peacefully into dreams filled with golden light and the gentle voices of ancient friends welcoming you home to the place where all seeking ends in finding, and all questions dissolve in the perfect silence of deep, restful sleep. Chapter 2. Steps Between the Shadows. You wake as the sun climbs higher above the ancient stones, your breath still soft from sleep. The morning light has grown warmer now, casting longer shadows between the towering columns of Persepolis. You rise slowly, feeling the weight of centuries beneath your bare feet. The dust here is not ordinary dust. It carries the breath of kings, the whispers of courtiers who once walked these halls in silk and gold. Your simple robe moves gently in the morning breeze. You do not hurry. There is nowhere to go but deeper into silence, deeper into the memory of stone. The great staircase spreads before you like a river of carved granite, each step worn smooth by 10,000 royal processions. You place your foot upon the first stone and feel the coolness rise through your skin. Here, delegates from 23 nations once climbed these very steps. Babylonians carrying golden vessels, Lydians with their fine textiles, Scythians bringing their sacred horses, all moving in slow procession toward the throne of Darius. You move as they moved, but slower still, each step a meditation, each breath a prayer to the silence that now fills these halls. The reliefs on either side watch your ascent, carved faces of tribute bearers, their expressions caught forever in stone. You pause beside a figure carrying a young goat. The sculptor's chisel has captured even the texture of the animal's fur, the gentle curve of its ear. You reach out and touch the stone. It is warm from the sun, smooth from wind and rain, and the passage of 2.5 millennia. Your fingers trace the outline of the carved hand, and for a moment, you feel the stone hand touch you back. A wind carries the scent of wild herbs growing between the ruins. Thyme and sage, their roots finding life in the cracks where marble meets earth. You breathe deeply, filling your lungs with air that has touched these stones for countless generations. Above you, the great columns of the Apadana rise like stone trees, each one carved from a single block of gray limestone, each one crowned with the twin heads of bulls or lions, symbols of strength and wisdom that once supported a cedar roof, now supporting only sky. You walk between these columns, your footsteps echoing softly in the vast space. The sound seems to travel upward, disappearing into the blue emptiness where the ceiling once was. Here, in this hall, Darius the Great once received the tribute of nations. The floor beneath your feet is polished stone, laid in perfect squares, each one fitted so precisely that even now, 25 centuries, you cannot slip a blade of grass between the joints. Persian craftsmen, masters of their art, created beauty that outlasts empires. You sit on a low stone platform, once perhaps the base of a statue, now worn smooth and comfortable. The sun falls across your shoulders like a worn shawl. You close your eyes and listen. The wind moves through the columns, creating a sound like distant flutes, like the breath of the earth itself, slow and deep and eternal. You breathe with this rhythm, your chest rising and falling in harmony with the ancient air. When you open your eyes, you notice how the light plays across the carved walls. Each relief tells a story without words. Persians and Medes, walking together in eternal procession, their robes flowing, their faces calm and dignified. You stand and walk closer to the eastern wall. Here, the morning sun illuminates every detail of the carvings. The figure in flowing robes holds a lotus flower, symbol of rebirth and purity. The petals are carved so delicately they seem ready to fall. Another figure carries a bowl of fruit, pomegranates and dates, offerings from fertile lands to the King of Kings. The sculptor has carved each pomegranate seed, each wrinkle in the dates, with infinite patience and devotion. You touch the carved lotus, and remember that this flower grows from mud, but blooms in perfect beauty above the water, like wisdom rising from earthly existence, like peace growing from the soil of the heart. The shadows shift as the sun moves higher. Patterns of light and darkness flow across the stone floor like slow water. You follow these patterns with your eyes, letting them guide your steps through the ruined halls. Here is a doorway that once led to the treasury, where gold from 23 satrapies was stored. Cups and bowls and ornaments from Babylon, silver from the mountains of Anatolia, precious stones from the edges of the known world. Now the treasury holds only air and light. But you sense that this emptiness is more precious than any gold. In this space, free from possessions, the soul can expand like incense rising. You pass through the doorway, your robe brushing against stones that once formed the threshold of unimaginable wealth. Your bare feet feel each small irregularity in the ancient floor, each crack where grass has grown, each depression worn by the footsteps of guards and servants and kings. In this inner chamber, light falls through gaps in the ruined walls, creating columns of golden dust motes dancing slowly in the still air. You watch them turn and spiral, like tiny prayers ascending to heaven. You sit in the center of this sacred emptiness, cross-legged on the stone floor, your back straight but not rigid, your hands resting gently on your knees. You breathe deeply, tasting the dry sweetness of desert air mixed with the green coolness of morning shade. Here, you remember the words inscribed on Darius's tomb at Nakshi Rustam. By the favor of Ahura Mazda, I am king. Ahura Mazda gave me this empire. Numerous, good, possessing good horses, possessing good men. But you also remember that Darius called himself the servant of light, the protector of truth, the enemy of lies. His power was not for its own sake, but in service to something greater, to the cosmic order that holds all things in balance. You breathe with this understanding, feeling your small life connected to the vast pattern of existence. Your breath becomes the breath of the wind in the columns. Your heartbeat becomes the rhythm of eternity pulsing through stone. Time moves differently here. Minutes feel like hours. Hours feel like moments. The sun climbs its ancient arc. Shadows grow shorter and then begin to lengthen again. You remain still, absorbed in the meditation of simply being present in this sacred space. A small lizard emerges from a crack in the wall, moves across the sun-warmed stone, pauses to look at you with one bright eye. Even this tiny creature is part of the vast web of life that flows through these ruins, part of the empire of breath and sunlight that succeeds all earthly kingdoms. You close your eyes again, and in the darkness behind your eyelids, you see the ancient halls as they once were, filled with courtiers in silk robes, Persian nobles with their long beards and golden torques, servants carrying silver vessels. The soft murmur of many languages blending into one great song of human civilization. But you do not long for that vanished splendor. Instead, you feel grateful for this present emptiness. For in emptiness, the essential things become clear. The breath moving in and out of your lungs, the warmth of sun on stone, the quiet conversation between your heart and the eternal silence. You open your eyes as a small wind stirs the dust around your feet. Particles of earth and stone rise briefly into the light, then settle again into stillness, like thoughts arising in consciousness, noticed without attachment, allowed to pass away in peace. You stand slowly, feeling the blood flow back into your legs, feeling your connection to the earth through the soles of your feet. You walk to another doorway, this one leading toward what was once the Hall of 100 Columns, Xerxes' great throne room. As you walk, your steps fall into a natural rhythm, neither hurried nor delayed. Each footfall conscious and deliberate, like a walking meditation through the corridors of time. The Hall of 100 Columns stretches before you. A vast space now open to the sky. You can see the stumps of the great stone pillars, each one taller than 10 men, at once supported the largest roofed hall in the ancient world. Here, Xerxes held court in magnificent splendor. The ceiling was cedar wood inlaid with gold. The walls were decorated with glazed bricks, showing scenes of the king's victory over mythical beasts. Lions and bulls and griffins falling before the royal might. But you prefer it as it is now, open to the infinite sky, filled with light and air and the simple presence of weathered stone. The destruction wrought by Alexander's army has become, in its way, a kind of completion, returning these stones to their dialogue with heaven. You find a place to sit at the base of one of the broken columns. The stone is carved with a delicate pattern of rosettes and palmettes, each petal still perfect after all these years. You run your fingers over the carved flowers, feeling the skill and devotion of craftsmen whose names are lost to time. The sun is higher now, approaching its zenith, the heat beginning to build, but here in the shadow of the ancient column, the air remains cool and sweet. You lean back against the stone, feeling its solid presence supporting your spine. You close your eyes and breathe slowly, in through your nose, filling your belly first, then your chest. Pause. Out through slightly parted lips, releasing all tension. Releasing all hurry. The sun reaches its highest point. Light falls straight down into the ruined hall. Shadows become small pools of coolness around the bases of broken pillars. You sit in one of these pools, feeling protected and held by the ancient stones. A bird lands on the column above you, a small desert finch with brown and gold feathers. It calls once, a clear, sweet note that echoes off the surrounding walls. Then it flies away, leaving only the memory of its song lingering in the warm air. You remember that sound is vibration, and vibration is the foundation of all creation. The bird's call, your breath, the wind in the stones, all part of one great symphony that has been playing since the beginning of time and will continue long after all human empires have returned to dust. But dust itself is sacred. You take a small handful of the earth at your feet, soil mixed with tiny fragments of marble and limestone, microscopic pieces of columns and walls and stairs that once rang with the footsteps of the mighty. Now, this dust nourishes wild grass and desert flowers. An empire transformed, not destroyed, but translated into a new form of beauty. You let the soil run through your fingers, watching each grain catch the light as it falls. Each mote a small world, each speck of earth a universe of possibility. You brush your hands clean and rest them again on your knees. The meditation deepens. Your breathing becomes so slow and quiet that it barely disturbs the dust around you. Your heartbeat so gentle that it seems to merge with the pulse of sunlight on stone. Your thoughts so still that the boundary between thinking and not thinking disappears. In this stillness, you begin to sense the presence of those who walked here before, not as ghosts or spirits, but as a kind of resonance in the stones themselves, the accumulated weight of human attention and reverence that has soaked into these walls over millennia. Persian nobles contemplating the glory of their empire, Greek soldiers amazed by the beauty they were ordered to destroy, Arab travelers recording the wonder of these ruins for posterity, European archaeologists carefully uncovering treasures buried by time. All of them, like you, stopping to rest in the presence of something greater than themselves. You are part of this long procession of witnesses, your silence adding to the great silence, your presence honoring all those who have been present here before, your meditation joining the eternal meditation of stone and sky and wind. The sun begins its afternoon journey toward the western hills. Shadows start to lengthen again with the ancient patience of the earth itself. A small breeze stirs, carrying the scent of distant gardens, of fruit trees growing wild in the ruins, of herbs and grasses finding life in the most unlikely places. You breathe in these fragrances, letting them nourish something deep within your soul. You remember the Persian word bah, garden, but more than garden, a vision of paradise on earth, water flowing through geometric channels, trees planted in perfect symmetry, flowers arranged in patterns that mirror the order of the stars, the whole creation transformed into a work of art, a prayer made manifest in earth and water and growing things. The gardens of Persepolis are gone now, but the pattern remains, written in the stones, encoded in the careful proportions of the buildings, expressed in the harmony between human creation and natural landscape. You sit within this pattern, feeling yourself part of its ancient design. Your body begins to feel very heavy, as if you were sinking slowly into the earth, becoming part of the stone platform on which you sit. Your consciousness expanding to encompass the entire ruined complex, feeling the weight and presence of every column, every wall, every scattered stone. But at the same time, you feel incredibly light, as if you might float up into the blue sky at any moment. Your breath becoming so refined that it seems made of light itself. Your thoughts so transparent that they cannot be distinguished from the clear mountain air. This paradox does not trouble you. Heavy and light, solid and transparent, individual and universal. These apparent contradictions dissolve in the deeper truth of simply being present, simply breathing, simply allowing yourself to be held by the eternal arms of this sacred place. The afternoon light grows golden, slanting through the gaps in the ruined walls, painting everything with the warm honey color of approaching evening. You watch this light move across the stones, across your hands, across the ancient carvings that surround you on every side. Each figure carved in stone seems to glow in this golden light. Tribute bearers and nobles, servants and soldiers, all frozen in their eternal procession, all participating in their own way in the great dance of light and shadow that plays across these ruins every day, as it has for 2,500 years. You stand slowly, your legs stiff from sitting, but your heart light with peace. You walk to another part of the hall, where a section of the original stone floor remains intact, the marble polished to a mirror shine by ancient craftsmen, reflecting the sky like still water. You kneel and place your palms flat on this ancient mirror, feeling the coolness of the stone, seeing your face reflected in its surface, mixed with the reflection of clouds passing overhead. Your brief presence joining the endless conversation between earth and heaven. You remove your hands and see their prints in the thin layer of dust that has settled on the marble. Your mark added to countless others, the touch of your palms joining the accumulated touch of all who have knelt here before. A communion across centuries, a fellowship of those who have found peace in the presence of these stones. Standing again, you walk to where part of the eastern wall still reaches toward the sky. Here the afternoon sun illuminates a series of reliefs, showing Persian and median nobles in their distinctive dress, long robes and cylindrical caps, each figure carved with individual care and attention. You study the face of one carved nobleman. The sculptor has given him an expression of quiet dignity, eyes that seem to look beyond the immediate moment towards something eternal. This is not the face of someone concerned with worldly power, but of someone who has found a deeper source of authority, the authority of wisdom, of inner peace. You touch your own face, feeling the living warmth of your skin, the small imperfections that mark you as mortal and temporary. But in your eyes, you hope there might be something of the same quality you see in the carved face, the same recognition of beauty, the same acceptance of transience, the same trust in the underlying goodness of existence. The wind picks up as the day ages, stirring the dust around your feet, moving through your hair and clothing, reminding you that you too are temporary, that your body will one day return to earth, that your breath will rejoin the great breathing of the atmosphere. This thought brings not sadness, but relief, to know that you are part of something larger than yourself, something that continues when individual forms pass away, to feel yourself held by the same forces that have shaped these mountains, carved these stones, brought forth life from desert soil. You walk to the western edge of the ruined hall, where you can see across the plain toward the Zagros Mountains, their peaks purple in the distance, their slopes marked with the shadows of clouds. Ancient and patient, they have watched over this valley since long before humans learned to work stone, and they will remain long after all our works have returned to dust. But this, too, brings comfort rather than melancholy, to know that beauty continues, that the mountains will still catch the light of dawn and evening, that wildflowers will still bloom in hidden valleys, that the wind will still sing through stone and earth, even when no human ear remains to hear. You sit again, this time on a low wall that once enclosed a courtyard, the stones worn smooth by weather and time, comfortable beneath you. You face west, toward the setting sun still hours away, and simply breathe, simply exist, simply allow yourself to be present in this eternal moment. Your body settles into deeper relaxation, muscles releasing tension you didn't know you were carrying, shoulders dropping, jaw softening, eyes growing heavy with peace rather than fatigue. You are not sleepy. You are entering a state deeper than sleep, a waking rest in which consciousness remains clear while the body finds perfect ease. The golden light continues to deepen, painting the ruins with colors that seem to come from within the stones themselves. Amber and honey and warm gold, the whole complex glowing like a bender from some cosmic fire, beautiful beyond description, peaceful beyond understanding. You close your eyes and feel yourself sinking into this peace, your breath slowing until it barely stirs the air, your heartbeat gentle and regular as the pulse of distant stars, your consciousness expanding to include the whole valley, the mountains, the sky, the infinite space that holds all things in perfect balance. In this expanded awareness, You feel the presence of everyone who has ever found peace in this place. Monks and mystics, pilgrims and philosophers, simple travelers who stopped to rest and found something they had not expected. All of you connected across time by the shared recognition of beauty, by the common experience of being deeply moved by the presence of the sacred. The sun begins its long slide toward evening, but you have time, endless time, to rest in the embrace of these ancient stones, to breathe the air that has flowed through these halls for millennia, to add your own small prayer of gratitude to the countless prayers that have been offered here. Your hands rest gently on your knees, your spine naturally straight but not rigid, your breath flowing like a quiet stream, in and out, in and out. Each breath a small celebration, each moment a gift offered freely by the boundless generosity of existence. The shadows grow longer, reaching across the courtyard toward your feet. But there is no hurry, no need to move, no urgency of any kind. Only this perfect moment, this breath, this heartbeat, this gentle awareness resting in the eternal embrace of stone and sky and silence. You feel yourself beginning to drift, not into unconsciousness, but into an even deeper presence, a state where the boundaries between yourself and the world become transparent, where your breathing becomes the breathing of the wind, where your heartbeat becomes the pulse of life itself, moving through all things. The carved faces in the stone walls seem to smile in the golden light. Ancient eyes reflecting the same peace you now feel. The same recognition that beneath all the apparent complexity of existence lies a simple truth, that being itself is sacred, that consciousness itself is a gift. Your body grows very still, so still that dust motes settle on your shoulders like a blessing, so still that small insects continue their activities undisturbed around your feet. You have become part of the landscape, part of the eternal conversation between silence and form. The light continues to deepen and warm, the whole world taking on the quality of a gentle dream, real but soft, present but somehow distant, immediate but eternal. You rest in this paradox without trying to resolve it, simply allowing yourself to be held by the mystery of existence itself. Your thoughts become like the wind, arising naturally, moving through consciousness without resistance, passing away without effort, leaving the sky of awareness clear and bright and infinite, ready to receive whatever comes, grateful for whatever is. Time dissolves completely. There is no past to remember, no future to anticipate. Only this eternal now, this breath. This moment of perfect peace in the embrace of the ancient stones. Only this gentle awareness, this quiet presence, this deep contentment that asks for nothing because it already contains everything. The golden light wraps around you like the softest silk. The stone beneath you feels like the most comfortable bed. The air carries fragrances of distant gardens, of memories too beautiful to name, of possibilities that exist beyond the realm of words. You breathe once more, slowly, deeply, tasting the sweetness of this perfect moment, feeling your heart open like a flower in the warmth of the ancient sun, sensing your connection to all life, all consciousness, all the beauty that has ever been or ever will be. And in this opening, this expansion, this gentle dissolve, your very being a note in the endless song of creation. Your hands rest gently, the wind quiets, and you drift into deep, restful sleep. Chapter 3: The Garden of Quiet Fire. The sun climbs higher now, casting long shadows between the broken stones. You move slowly through what was once the royal garden. Your bare feet find the ancient pathways worn smooth by centuries of wind and rain and silence. Here, among the scattered fragments of marble, wild fig trees have taken root. Their leaves whisper secrets as you pass beneath their branches. You pause and breathe deeply. The air carries the scent of wild herbs growing between the cracks in the old foundation stones. Thyme and mint, and something sweeter, something that has no name, but carries the memory of Persian roses that once bloomed here in gardens tended by royal hands. You kneel beside a fallen column, its surface carved with the eternal symbols of the Achaemenids, the rosettes and palmettes still visible despite the passage of 25 centuries. Your fingers trace these ancient patterns, feeling the craftsman's chisel marks, still sharp, still purposeful, still alive. Beneath your gentle touch, the stone is warm, warmed by the morning sun, and by something deeper, something that has never left this sacred place. You reach into your simple cloth bag and withdraw the few things you carry for the preparation of tea. A small copper pot, darkened by countless fires, a handful of dried mint leaves, gathered from the hillsides around Pasargadae, a piece of flint and steel for making flame. These are your only possessions, these simple tools, for the simple ritual that connects you to the eternal rhythm of breath and fire and water. You gather small twigs fallen from the fig trees and arrange them carefully in a circle of stones. Each movement is deliberate, meditative, as if you are performing a sacred ceremony for the ghosts of kings who once walked these gardens. Like tiny stars falling into the dry tinder, the flame catches, grows, becomes a small fire that whispers and crackles in the ancient stillness. You fill the copper pot with water from a small spring that still flows from the rocks above, clear and cold as it has flowed for thousands of years. This same water once filled the channels that carried life through Cyrus's gardens, through Darius's courtyards, through the fountain pools where nobles once gathered to speak of empire and eternity. But now, the water flows only for you and for the small creatures that make their homes among the ruins. You place the pot over the flame and wait. Waiting is a skill you have learned well in your months of solitude among these stones. Waiting, without impatience, without desire, for anything other than this moment, this breath, this gentle warmth of sun on your shoulders. The water begins to sing, softly at first, then with growing voice. As the heat awakens, the ancient music that lives in all water. when it dances with fire. You add the mint leaves and watch them swirl in the bubbling water, releasing their essence, their green spirit into the rising steam. A fragrance fills the air, mingles with the scent of wild flowers and sun-warmed stone, creating a perfume that belongs only to this place. This moment is perfect solitude. While the tea steeps, you sit back against the fallen column and let your eyes wander across the ruins. From here, you can see the great staircase where once the representatives of 23 nations climbed toward the throne room of the King of Kings. Babylonians and Egyptians, Scythians and Indians, Greeks and Armenians, all coming to offer tribute to the Persian Emperor who ruled from the Aegean Sea to the Indus River. But now only the wind climbs those stairs, carrying with it the dust of centuries and the memories of empires that rose like the sun and set like the sun, leaving only these stones to tell their stories. You pour the tea into a simple clay cup, another of your few possessions, made by your own hands from clay found near the tomb of Cyrus. The tea is hot and fragrant and perfect in its simplicity. You sip slowly, feeling the warmth spread through your body, awakening senses that have grown quiet in the deep peace of this solitary life. Each sip is a prayer, a moment of gratitude for the small miracles that sustain life, water and fire, and the green gifts of the earth. You think of the Persian kings who once sat in gardens, not unlike this one, drinking tea perhaps, or wine, or the sweet sherbet made from pomegranates and rosewater. They too must have known moments of perfect stillness when the weight of empire fell away, and they were simply human beings breathing under the same sky that stretches above you now. The tea grows cooler as you drink, and you let your mind drift like the steam that rises and dissolves into the clear morning air. You remember the words carved in cuneiform on the walls of Persepolis, words of Darius the Great, who declared, "I the favor of Ahura Mazda, I am king. Ahura Mazda granted me the kingdom, but sitting here, in the ruins of his glory, you understand that kingdoms are temporary things, built of stone and gold and the ambitions of men, while this moment, this breath, this warmth of sun on weathered stone, this is eternal. This is the true kingdom that needs no walls, no armies, no tribute from distant lands." You finish your tea and set the cup aside on a flat stone that might once have been part of a royal table or the base of a statue of some forgotten god. The fire burns lower now, the small flames dancing more slowly as the wood turns to glowing embers, red and gold, like tiny suns warming your hands. You add a few more twigs, not to build the fire higher, but to keep it alive, to honor its presence, as the Zoroastrians honored the sacred flames that burned in their temples for centuries without dying. Fire, they believed, was the son of Ahura Mazda, the pure light that drove away darkness and lies and evil thoughts. You do not follow their religion or any religion, but you understand their reverence for flame, for the miracle of light emerging from darkness, of warmth emerging from cold stone, of life emerging from apparent emptiness. Around you, the ruins continue their slow conversation with wind and time and sunlight. A small lizard emerges from a crack in the marble and basks in the warmth radiating from your fire. It is bronze-colored, with golden eyes that seem to hold ancient wisdom, as if it too remembers the days when these halls echoed with the footsteps of kings and courtiers. You watch the lizard, without moving, letting your presence become as still as the stones themselves, until the small creature, as part of the landscape, part of the eternal quiet that has settled over this place. Birds call from the fig tree above, soft notes that seem to harmonize with the gentle crackling of your fire, creating a music that has no composer but flows naturally from the meeting of breath and wing and flame. You close your eyes and let this music fill your mind, washing away the last traces of the world beyond these ruins, the world of noise and haste and endless seeking. Here, there is nothing to seek, nothing to find, except this perfect, present moment, this breath, this heartbeat, this gentle warmth of fire and sun on your face. The tea has left a pleasant taste on your tongue, mint and sweetness that fades slowly, like the memory of a beautiful dream, half remembered upon waking. You think of the Persian word for garden, paradisa, which means walled around, from which comes the gardens of the Persian kings were indeed walled around, protected spaces where beauty and order could flourish, safe from the chaos of the world beyond. But this garden where you sit now has no walls. Its boundaries are made of silence and stone and the infinite sky that stretches without limit in all directions. Perhaps this is truer paradise, unguarded, unowned, open to any soul seeking peace, seeking the quiet that lives at the center of all things. You open your eyes and look again at the carved reliefs on the nearby stones. Here, a Persian nobleman leads a lion by a golden chain. There, a Median prince carries a jeweled vessel filled with precious oils. The stone faces are serene, dignified, as if these ancient figures knew secrets about patience and proper behavior that have been lost in the rush at once wrapped. Their living bodies, their beards are curled according to the Persian fashion, their hair bound with golden bands, their eyes looking toward some eternal distance that lies beyond the edge of the stone. You wonder what they saw in their lifetime, what hopes and fears filled their days, what prayers they whispered to Ahura Mazda in the quiet hours before dawn. Were they happy, these nobles and kings who commanded armies and treasuries beyond imagination, or did they too, in their private moments, long for something simpler, something like this perfect solitude, this communion with stone and sky, and the eternal silence that holds all things? A fire burns lower, the embers glowing, like small hearts beating with steady, peaceful rhythm. You pick up a fallen fig from the ground beside you. Its skin is purple-brown, soft to the touch, still warm, from the morning sun. You bite into it, and the sweetness floods your mouth. Honey with tiny seeds that crunch softly between your teeth. This simple fruit carries in its flesh all the sun and rain and earth that nurtured it, all the seasons that passed while it grew toward ripeness, toward this moment when it becomes part of you, part of your breath, part of your being. The fig tree above must be very old. Its trunk is thick and gnarled, twisted by years of wind and weather, but still alive, still bearing fruit, still offering shade to any who seek rest. Beneath its branches, perhaps this very tree grew from seeds that fell in the days when Persepolis was still alive, with voices and laughter and the sound of water flowing through marble channels. Perhaps Persian children once played beneath its younger branches while their parents discussed matters of state in the halls that now lie silent and empty. Time moves differently for trees than for human beings. A century to a fig tree is like a season, like a single year of slow growth and patient ripening. You finish the fig and wipe your hands on the grass that grows between the stones. Soft green grass that has learned to find nourishment in the cracks of ancient marble. Life finds a way to continue, even here, even in these ruins, even in the hearts of broken empires. The grass and the fig tree and the small lizard and the singing birds all carry on the business of living without concern for the rise and fall of human kingdoms. They understand what the Persian kings perhaps forgot in their pursuit of eternal glory, that true eternity lies not in monuments of stone and gold, but in the simple, continuing miracle of breath and growth and the patient turning of seasons. The sun has climbed higher, casting shorter shadows among the ruins. The day grows warmer, but here, beneath the fig tree, beside your small fire, for contemplation, for rest, for the slow healing that comes with solitude, you add another small stick to the fire, not because it needs more fuel, but because you enjoy the ritual of feeding the flame, of keeping alive this small light in the vast silence of the ancient world. The stick catches, flames dancing up, bright yellow and orange, like tiny dancers, celebrating some wordless joy, some simple happiness that needs no reason beyond its own pure being. You settle back against the column and let your breathing grow slower, deeper, matching the rhythm of the wind that moves through the broken arches of what was once the Hall of 100 Columns. Each breath brings you deeper into the peace that lives at the center of this place, the peace that has waited for 25 centuries for someone like you to come and recognize it, to sit with it, to let it fill the empty spaces in your heart. Your eyelids grow heavy in the warm air. The sound of the fire and the wind and the distant birds blends into a perfect lullaby, ancient and familiar, as if you have heard it in dreams for all your life. The carved stone faces seem to smile with gentle approval as your eyes drift closed. These ancient nobles and kings who once worried about empire and eternity now watch over your simple rest, like benevolent spirits who have finally learned the secret of true peace. A fire burns on, steady and patient, sending up thin streams of smoke that rise and dissolve into the endless sky, carrying with them your small prayers, your quiet gratitude for this moment, this place, this perfect solitude. The fig tree rustles softly above your head, its leaves whispering ancient lullabies in a language older than Persian, older than human speech, the original language of wind. Your breathing grows deeper, more relaxed, as the warmth of sun and fire seeps into your bones, melting away any tension, any worry, any memory of the world beyond these peaceful ruins. Here, in the garden of quiet fire, surrounded by the patient stones of Persepolis, you drift toward sleep, toward dreams that taste of mint tea and sweet figs, and the eternal silence that holds all things in its gentle, loving arms. The Persian kings carved their names in stone, seeking to be remembered forever. But you seek only to be forgotten, to dissolve into the deeper memory that lives in wind and stone and the slow breathing of the earth itself. The fire burns lower, the embers glowing like small stars fallen to earth to keep you company in your peaceful rest. And the ancient garden closes its invisible arms around you, keeping you safe, keeping you warm, as you drift deeper, deep. Rest gently on the warm stone beside you. The wind grows softer, more distant, like a lullaby sung by the earth itself. The carved faces of the Persian nobles watch over your peaceful sleep, their stone eyes filled with the wisdom that comes only with great age and great patience. And in your dreams, you walk through gardens that bloom eternal, where the Persian kings sit beneath fig trees, drinking tea and speaking softly of the only empire that never falls, the kingdom of perfect peace that lives in every quiet breath. The fire burns steady and true, warming new dreams with its gentle light, and the ruins of Persepolis breathe with your breathing, their ancient stones rising and falling like a great chest filled with all the peaceful dreams of all the centuries. Your teacup sits empty beside the dying fire, but your heart is full of the quiet that has no end, will speak long after all words are forgotten. The sun moves slowly across the sky, marking time in the ancient way, with shadows that grow and shrink and grow again, patient as stones, patient as trees, patient as your own peaceful breathing. And in this garden of quiet fire, surrounded by the loving presence of ancient stones, you rest completely, perfectly, at peace, your sleep as deep and dreamless as the sleep of the earth itself. The wind grows quieter, the fire burns lower, the shadows lengthen and merge, and you drift deeper into the silence that is the true heart of all gardens, all empires, all dreams. Your body becomes light as air, as if you too might dissolve into the eternal dance of wind and fire and stone that continues here in this sacred place where time, the Persian word for peace, is Aramesh, and you have become Aramesh itself, embodied silence, breathing quiet, heart beating with the same rhythm as the ancient stones that surround you, like guardians, like friends, like the eternal loving presence of all things that endure. In your deepest sleep, you hear the whisper of wind through broken arches, the gentle crackling of embers, growing dim, the soft rustle of fig leaves overhead, all blending into one perfect song, the lullaby of ruins, the music of peace that has no beginning and knows no end. And the garden of quiet fire holds you gently, safely in its ancient arms, while your dreams rise like smoke into the endless sky, carrying with them all your small worries, all your questions, all your seeking, dissolving them into pure light, pure rest, pure peace. The fire burns to ash, but the warmth remains in the stones, in your bones, in the deep quiet that fills every space between heartbeats, between breaths, between the rising and setting of suns. And you sleep the sleep of the truly peaceful, the sleep of those who have found the secret garden that exists not in any map or memory, but in the space between thoughts, the pause between words, the silence that lives at the center of all noise, all seeking, all restless longing. Here, in this garden of quiet fire, you have come home to the peace that was always waiting for you, patient as stone, enduring as wind, gentle as the last ember, glowing soft and warm in the gathering dusk of perfect, dreamless sleep. And now the candle has faded. The last whisper settles into the dust, and the echoes of stone fall silent once more. You are safe, still and seen. Thank you for walking with us through the breath of ancient earth. May your dreams carry you gently until we meet again beneath the stars. Good night and sleep well.